All right, Cowboys Nation, hold on to your hats coming out of that preseason showdown with the Steelers. We're talking potential season-changing injuries, a dark horse running back who might just be stealing the RB1 spot, and enough drama to make Jerry Jones's head spin. Trust me, you do not want to miss this breakdown. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and let's dive into the chaos that was last night's game. Hey there, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Fan, your ultimate destination for all things America's team. Whether you bleed blue and silver or are just starting to catch Cowboys fever, this is the place. If you are a die-hard fan, please make sure to subscribe for more latest news and updates of your favorite team. We've got injuries, depth chart shakeups, and some surprising performances to dive into. Let's get right to it. First up, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, the injuries to our rookies Guyton and Marshawn Kneeland. Now, I know a lot of you are probably freaking out right now, but let's take a deep breath and break down what we know so far. Guyton, our promising offensive tackle out of TEC, went down in the second quarter with what appeared to be a knee injury. The coaching staff was quick to pull him from the game, and he was seen on the sidelines with ice on his knee. Now, before we jump to conclusions, remember that this is standard procedure for any potential knee issue. The good news is that Guyton was able to walk off the field under his own power, which is usually a positive sign. Sources close to the team are saying that Guyton will undergo an MRI today to determine the extent of the injury. Best case scenario? It's just a minor sprain, and he'll be back in action within a couple of weeks. Worst case? Well, let's not even go there right now. The Cowboys have been high on Guyton throughout training camp, with offensive line coach Joe Philbin praising his quick feet and natural pass-blocking ability. Losing him for an extended period would definitely throw a wrench in the team's plans to shore up the offensive line depth. Moving on to Marshawn Kneeland, our 7th-round pick out of Western Michigan. Kneeland has been turning heads in camp with his relentless motor and ability to get after the quarterback. Unfortunately, he suffered what looked like an ankle injury late in the third quarter. Unlike Guyton, Kneeland needed help getting off the field, which is definitely concerning. The initial word from the team is that it's a high ankle sprain, but again, we're waiting on further tests to confirm the severity. High ankle sprains can be tricky, often taking anywhere from 4-6 weeks to fully heal. This could put Kneeland's roster spot in jeopardy as he was fighting for one of those final defensive line positions. It's a tough break for the rookie, who had been impressing coaches with his work ethic and raw potential. Now, I know what you're thinking, great, more injuries to deal with. But let's try to stay positive here, Cowboys fans. Remember, it's still early in the preseason, and we've got time for these guys to heal up before the games really start to matter. All right, now let's shift gears and talk about something that's got the whole fan base buzzing: Rico Dowdle potentially taking over as RB1. I know, it sounds crazy, right? We've got Tony Pollard, who's been waiting in the wings behind Ezekiel Elliott for years. But hear me out on this one. Dowdle absolutely balled out against the Steelers. We're talking 8 carries for 52 yards and a touchdown, plus 3 receptions for another 25 yards. That's some serious production in limited playing time. But it's not just the stats that are impressive, it's the way Dowdle was running. He showed great vision, hitting the holes hard and breaking tackles left and right. There was one play in particular where he bounced off 2 defenders and somehow managed to stay in bounds for an extra 10 yards. That's the kind of effort and determination that coaches love to see. Now, before we get too carried away, let's be clear: Tony Pollard is still the presumptive starter. He's proven himself over the past few seasons and has the trust of the coaching staff. But what Dowdle's performance does is create some healthy competition in the running back room, and competition, as we all know, brings out the best in players. The Cowboys' running game has been a bit of a question mark since Zeke's departure. Pollard has shown flashes of brilliance, but there have been concerns about his ability to handle a full workload as the lead back. Dowdle's emergence could allow the team to implement more of a committee approach, keeping both backs fresh throughout the game and the season. Let's also not forget about Deuce Vaughn, the rookie out of Kansas State. While he didn't have quite the standout performance that Dowdle did, he still showed some nice burst and elusiveness in his limited touches. The Cowboys might have stumbled into a pretty solid running back group here, folks. Now, I can already hear some of you yelling at your screens, what about the passing game? Shouldn't we be focusing on getting Doc and the receivers in sync? And you're absolutely right. The aerial attack is crucial to the Cowboys' success this season. But here's the thing, a strong running game opens up so much for the passing game. If defenses have to respect the run, it creates more opportunities for CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and the rest of the receiving corps to make plays downfield. Speaking of the passing game, let's take a moment to talk about some of the standout performances from our receivers in the Steelers game. Jalen Tolbert, last year's third-round pick, seems to be putting his disappointing rookie season behind him. He had a couple of nice grabs, including a contested catch on a third down that kept a drive alive. It's still early, but it looks like Tolbert might be ready to contribute in a meaningful way this season. And how about Cavontae Turpin? The speedster showed once again why he's such a dangerous weapon in the return game, taking a punt back 40 yards and nearly breaking it all the way. The coaching staff has been talking about getting Turpin more involved in the offense this year, and it's easy to see why. His elite speed could add another dimension to Kellen Moore's playbook. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the defense. While the offense showed some promising signs, the defense had its ups and downs against the Steelers. The good news is that we saw some solid play from our young cornerbacks. Darren Bland, in particular, had a nice pass breakup in the end zone that saved a touchdown. With Trayvon Diggs locked in as our C-bone, the development of guys like Bland and Kelvin Joseph is going to be crucial for the success of our secondary. The pass rush, however, was a bit inconsistent. We got decent pressure at times, but there were also plays where the Steelers' quarterbacks had all day to throw. This is where the injury to Marshawn Kneeland really hurts. He had been showing promise as a situational pass rusher, and now we might be without him for a while. It's going to be interesting to see how Dan Quinn adjusts and who steps up to fill that void. One bright spot on the defensive side of the ball was the play of Leighton Vander Esch. LVE looked quick and decisive, flying around the field and making plays. If he can stay healthy this season, it could go a long way towards solidifying our linebacker core. The last thing we want is to be questioning our kicker's reliability when the games start to matter. As always, Cowboys Nation, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Rico Dowdle's performance? Are you worried about the injuries to our rookies? And what other players caught your eye in the Steelers game? Drop your comments below, and let's keep this conversation going.